We're
We are.
live.
We're live. Good morning, everybody listening in. Welcome to another of our ConeX LinkedIn live sessions. This is the first one that we've done in a while, so we usually split these up into kind of groups of 6 little series. What we're going to start to do at the beginning of these series is a bit of a Q&A. To say I'm a little bit worried of the types of questions that are going to come in might be an understatement, but let's see how we get on. Obviously, I've got Adam with me today, Chief
Good
multiple
morning.
business owner, question expert, Twitter genius, whatever else you want to call it. So Adam's I'm sure he's going to be asking some questions as they pop in. Feel free to drop any messages in the comments, and we pick them up live here, and we'll ask them and kind of have a bit of discussion amongst ourselves. So for those of you watching live that don't know me, my name's Sam Bainham and I am the MD of ConeX Portal. So what is ConeX, I guess, is the first place to start. So we're building with a software platform, a community, a collaborative community for UK manufacturing businesses. Yes, you're going to hear the word collaboration and collaborative quite a lot over the next 20 minutes or so. But what we're trying to hammer home here is that it's not a directory. It's not a normal membership organization. It's not a procurement platform. It's not another link level, if you like, in the supply chain. There's a lot of things out there which are kind of managing projects and almost getting in the way and that sort of thing. So we're definitely not that. We're essentially building an ecosystem around, stealing Ram's word there, around the UK manufacturing supply chain. So we host events, we build a kind of hybrid community around our suppliers, which are our manufacturers, our designers, our engineers, our product developers. We get them working together in a more collaborative basis. We host events, we pop along and see them. We do all sorts of stuff to really shout about the great things that some of these companies are up to. Manufacturing is still flying under the radar a little bit, and it's going relatively strong. Everyone that I speak to is busy and always doing stuff and always out there and engaging, but it still hasn't quite hit the heights that I still believe it has the potential to. And this is our way of bringing this space, bringing this community together to really support the network and hopefully help bring some projects to market and so on. So it's something that genuinely connects like-minded businesses. It's molded into a bit of an area of expertise. So we've got some fairly established businesses in there, and we've got some fairly new businesses in there. And it's quite nice to see the types of questions that some of these new businesses are asking, knowing that there's some experienced heads in there who can kind of guide them and support them. And everyone's happy to do that. And I think that's the main thing that we're trying to drive here, is that there is an ethos around ConeX, and everyone is pretty awesome in that group. And they're all very friendly and approachable, and they all just want to help. So if it is just a random question around HR setup or insurance or whatever it may be, not necessarily manufacturing, then there are people in there that have experienced it, have gone through the pains, and are willing to help. And I think that's something that's becoming quite useful for all of the members to see. We also go to events. We bring members together. We try and introduce one another to each other. For example, we went to the NEC last week for the 3 days of Subcon, Manufacturing and Engineering Week, and TCT 360 all going on at the same time. And genuinely, the best bit out of those shows was seeing the ConeX members, seeing the familiar faces, sitting down, having a coffee with them, and just having a bit of a brainstorm about ideas and what we can do next, and then introducing them to other members. So there was, I think, 5 or 6 of our members just exhibiting across the week. So those that were walking the floor, just taking them along to these exhibitors and going to say hello, and just building that collaborative, strong kind of mindset between members, we think is quite important. And I mean, Adam, you've been part of it pretty much from day one. So hopefully you can agree with saying.
The thing for me is what I've noticed is from where it kicked off to where it is now, the community and everything, as you say, is really, really progressing, and the questions around they get asked. You know, if somebody's got a problem or a challenge or an issue or something, the question gets dropped into the community, and then loads of people just support, and that for me is what it's about. You know, I don't do membership organisations, like I've said to you before, but I do like ConeX because of that collaboration. I know you say you're going to talk about a lot of it. Collaboration for me, that is the main thing, and I've got to know some bloody superb people in there. I've had one-to-ones with a lot of them, like John and Scott and people, and it's superb for that. And just getting to know and understand what people are doing. So, you know, and helps with projects. I mean, even I've dropped, you know, I had a contact in some networking that was doing on 3D printing, and they wanted some supply. So, you know, I dropped the question in there around, you know, what can we do? And I think somebody even mentioned around the panels in making them into a different material. I think it was more recyclable material.
Yeah.
You know, it's great, superb.
Yeah, I think the key word there is support. It is that kind of supportive group, and you know, the way we're building it, it's. I'm not saying we're pre-vetting everyone, but everyone that is part of it understands that, and they understand that ethos, and they understand that there needs to be a bit of, you know, helping each other out and being there to support and asking each other questions, and you know, knowing that you will get a genuine response. I mean, I'm sure he won't mind me saying, but Luke Appleby from Equilibrium Risk last week took his company for his first ever trade show up at the M&E week in the NEC, and he was really encouraged by the level of support that ConeX members gave him. They literally knew he was there, knew it was his first week, and wanted to go say hi. So it's just a nice flow of friendly faces throughout the day, because those exhibitions are pretty daunting at times, especially when it's your first one, knowing kind of what to do and how to speak to people. So having that kind of friendly stream of faces is quite nice.
I thought it was good that the amount of side hustles, obviously, that some of the ConeX members have had in previous lives, considering how quick they could pick a lock. On Luke's exhibition.
I was off the leaderboard for some time, and then I realised what that actually made it look like.
That's quite funny. That was
so impressive. I think someone did it in 2.3 seconds or something.
Because we know what he's done in his younger life. Yeah,
exactly.
I could beat that.
Yeah.
Now, what you've just spoke about there, I suppose, leads into one of the a question around that is, you know, because you were saying around what you're looking for, and you know, you mentioned the word vet and everything like that, and it's, you know, in particular, what type of companies are you looking for within ConeX? And I say companies, I mean, we've got individuals and solopreneurs and things like that in there as well. So,
it works for. From what we've found so far, is that it works very well for anyone designing, engineering, manufacturing products for clients. So this can go right down to the very much freelance, one-man band, design engineers, whatever you want to call them, right up to the much larger, say, CNC workshops, and then kind of everything in between. But we found as long as they are kind of diverse in what they're offering, and they've got essentially a series of tools in their workshop that they can build and support projects, then they are perfect for what we're trying to build. Size, employees, revenue, all of that doesn't seem to matter at the moment, because everyone they can find something that they need, and they can get it from within ConeX. So if it's the slightly larger organizations, they can find subcontract designers if they need it. If it's the smaller guys, they can find that essentially business support services, plus the opportunity to actually generate work from some of these larger guys. I've just seen
Murphy's comment.
Well, luckily I ran away from the Midlands and I'm back down in Cornwall, so they didn't catch up with me. So, but yeah, Luke probably had a little side hustle with them. Yeah, so anyone, as I say, in that kind of subcontracting world, who can kind of pivot and offer a kind of diverse service within manufacturing. It does work for companies who have a specific project or product, as long as they're aware that they can get the kind of value of the community out of it. So they can ask the questions, they can get the support, they can get that side of things. In terms of leads, for example, if they're making a certain type of strength bolt for the automotive industry and they make absolutely nothing else, what are the chances that that's the type of work we're going to get on a regular basis?
Yeah.
So obviously they can get more out of it in terms of the community aspect, but in terms of genuine projects and project leads, that's not as likely, which is why it works a lot better for those offering a bit more of a diverse manufacturing.
Yeah, and I suppose when again coming back from an observation that I'll make from that is that if you take that niche and it's not going to crop up, the community aspect of working alongside like-minded people, rubbing shoulders and talking to like-minded people that are very progressive in their approach, and the technology that some of it that we've been exposed to, in particular, if that stand out for me with what we were doing, and again with yourself, is Yinch, in the VR and the AR world and that developer world, and how that can be is influenced within engineering, because there's been some cracking stuff on the tech around that, and how the co-working sort of like areas and the meetings that can be done through VR and AR is fantastic. So there's a whole host of different aspects to it as well.
That's one thing I will say. We're not stopping. We're not, we've released essentially what we're calling a beta product at the moment. We've got a portal, we've got this software that we're powering it from, and it's there, it's working, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. But we're not done. There's a lot more that we're going to be doing. We're going to continue that kind of progression. We're going to continue working. We're going to continue finding the next best tech, finding the next best way to host events, finding the next systems that we can implement. It's not just going to sit as it is now. It's going to keep evolving, keep developing. And yeah, the VR stuff with Yinch was something that we've been trialing in terms of events for ourselves, because it's it's a different experience. I mean, 18 months ago, I reckon 99% of people that I'm connected with on LinkedIn would never have been in an event in VR. Probably more than that, in fact. So that's I hadn't. So it's something that we found through a connection, and we were like, well, let's see if we can host an event in there. And what did we do last year? A trade show with 400 or 500 people logging in over the course of a 2-day open event.
Yeah.
So yeah, for us, it's about finding the new paths, seeing what's available, and bringing it into this community, into this manufacturing space.
Well, on that VR thing, the thing that made me smile was on the last networking event which we did in the VR on the ConeX, you linked up with all the other rooms.
Yeah.
And what surprised me was how many rooms had been created in VR within the engineering and manufacturing community.
Yep.
Because there was I don't know how many there was. There must have been
like 10, 12 additional
12,
spaces.
Yeah. And so it had been taken up, which I thought was that was superb. That was.
Yeah, and I'm not going to stand here and say everyone now has to go networking VR. That is not for everyone at all. I fully get that. No. But personally, I feel it is a step up from just the 2D Teams video meeting. Obviously, nothing really beats face-to-face, but you can't always go meet people on the other side of the country face-to-face. So why not jump into a bit of a 3D environment and chat about a project, network with other people? And it feels that kind of almost middle ground between the two, which has obviously got all sorts of benefits. I know you've done a lot of research and data in terms of the actual environmental benefit on having an event and what people actually get out of it, and that's a big step.
It is. Yeah. It is good. I suppose that this leads onto another question. I suppose in this, you've mentioned this hybrid community and how people engage on a personal level with the events within ConeX as well. And I suppose some of this leads on to another question in this as well. So we do the LinkedIn Lives and we do the series of LinkedIn Lives showcasing people. But there's the interesting question is there going to be sort of like regular video content within the ConeX, which again leads into some like events and what's happening within ConeX, and particularly pre-recorded lightning talks on expertise and things like that. Yinch was asking around that.
Yeah, so at the moment we do, as I say, we're calling it a bit of a hybrid community. So the main suppliers, the main manufacturers have access to the digital platform, the hub, to essentially share knowledge, ask each other questions. And that's very much the digital side of it. That's that's working in the background. People are in there regularly asking questions, as you know. In terms of the more kind of personal level and the events that we're hosting, obviously myself and the team are on the road, driving around, seeing people as and when we can. When we're going up to various trade shows and events, for example, I'm visiting 2 of our members for the rest of this week to kind of have a little wander around and see what's going on, get some good images and videos and start sharing what people are actually up to. So we do obviously these LinkedIn Lives, blocks of 6. We bring in our suppliers, get them talking around a specific topic and bring in a panel to support them. So it's not a direct pitch, it's very much a group conversation around a topic. So we do those over courses of 6 weeks. We've also started doing a live events from within the ConeX platform itself. So these can be a little bit more dedicated, a little bit more kind of pre-release information, anything that people want to share within the group before they go public with it, for example, anything like that. So that's something that we're also doing there in a very similar style to these lives. So we'll build a panel, we'll get people chatting, and they can now go live to the ConeX group. Obviously, you've then got anything face to face. So now I was going to say the world is a bit more normal, but it's not at all. But things are more face to face. We're going to start to do a series of kind of events around the country, bringing local people, local companies together. Funnily enough, that was the original business model that we were going to implement down in the southwest before everything went to where it went. So we're going to start to bring that back and do a few face-to-face kind of focus sessions around different areas of the country, just to get members meeting each other. So last week at the trade show, we had about 30 members just chatting and meeting and just having a coffee, and that's quite a powerful way of networking. So we're going to keep doing that. Obviously, all the trade shows, all the events, everything going on, we're going to keep doing those. What we do during a trade show, for example, is put together a little WhatsApp group just for the course of the show, so everyone knows who's who, everyone knows who's going to be there. So if you're wandering around on your own and you just want to go chat with someone, or you want a coffee, then there's a group of 20 or 30 people there that are also there in the same situation. So that
you are doing on that side of things as well, though. You are looking at around how you can bring people together. So I get a stand, but then share the stand within the ConeX membership as well, aren't you? So
R&D. So
yeah.
Date for your diary: advanced engineering in the first week of November. We are exhibiting as ConeX and our community. So we've got ourselves with 8 of our members on a stand, all showcasing what they do best. It just so happens that there are 6 or 7 other ConeX companies exhibiting during that week as well. So we're going to do quite a lot of interaction between our main stand and their stands, and make a bit of a sub event out of it almost within the show. So there's going to be quite a lot going on there, which will be quite exciting. So that's giving some of these companies the opportunity to actually showcase what they do at one of the biggest shows in the country. So that's quite good. And yeah, again, it's just about that improvement and changing and adapting and finding the right ways to do it. So what Yinch said there about kind of focus sessions and kind of masterminds, that's all in the works. It's kind of getting the sessions, as you say, pre-recorded, and then releasing them all over a period of time. So that's something that we are looking at doing in the background. We've also been looking at a potentially like a dedicated manufacturing ConeX style podcast as well, and that sort of thing, which will be more around that kind of short and sweet, quick snippets, quick, kind of knowledge transfer opportunities for the members, just to say their piece and go from there. So yeah, so that's definitely something that we're looking at as well.
Yeah, good idea. Mind you, it's always a good idea. I mean, you got the live, take the audio from that and drop it into a podcast. You got them there and straight off pre-recorded. So it's loads of material. So,
loads of ways we can do it.
Loads, yeah. Here's a biggie. I won't tell you ask this one. What makes you different from other membership organisations?
Collaboration, community, genuine, trusted people to work with. Everyone's honest. Everyone wants to help. It's a small group. We've said from the start we're not going to turn this into a directory of thousands of members. It doesn't work. As soon as it becomes just a big list of names, it's you lose that relationship. You lose that approach between everyone. It's gone as far as I'm aware. So small group, experts following the ethos makes us very different to anything that's been done before.
Yeah. The thing I like around it as well is that the majority of manufacturers, but then you do have the engineering support services as well. So we've got marketing, PR, and everything like that. So majority.
Yes,
that lends, but it lends itself to a very good rounded view for me. And this is again on the collaboration and progression point of view. Birds of a feather flock together, but sometimes you need an outside view, a different perspective from somebody in the industry to challenge and disrupt, and that is very good, and you can see that within the community as well. Is that somebody in a creative side looks at it differently from a rationale engineering side, and can ask some superb questions. So I do like that as well. And that's again born out of that the people in there are very, very progressive and forward thinking. So that I do like is one of the big things for me.
Yeah, so on that, we're keeping it about a 70-30 split, because obviously we don't want it just to become a group for service providers, because that's the last thing manufacturers want, essentially, isn't it?
No,
So
absolutely.
Make sure 70% manufacturers, makers, doers, engineers, designers in there, with that nice balance of the rest of the kind of supply chain, the rest of the setup. As I say, I touched on it before. Ram put it quite nicely in terms of the word ecosystem, and building the entire supply chain as an ecosystem, getting the right people together, working together, is going to be hugely important moving forward.
Yeah, that whole value chain approach. It's not just about making the part; it's the admin and everything, sales and everything that goes into it. It is a biggie, and we'll see whether you can ascertain who asked this one. There'll be no two ways about it. You'll guess it straight off. Imagine you're making widgets in world-class factory in Land's End. The best supplier of bits for your widgets is based on John O'Groats. And this person did say, "Oh, Adam, you can spin your words to make it sound better." But I thought, no, I'll keep it as it is. Why is ConeX a better way of contacting, communicating than just email or picking up the phone? Next
question. Well, that's clearly a question from Mr. Murphy. The answer to that is, how many times have you tried to find a supplier via email and phone call, and they either don't respond or they give a kind of blanket response, and you don't really you never end up working with them? The amount of times that I've emailed, this was in a past life, the amount of times that I've emailed companies and you just get nothing back. To me, it was my biggest pet hate when someone just doesn't even acknowledge an email or anything like that. And that's the frustration across the whole. I think that's quite widespread across the whole of the well, not just manufacturing space, but business in general. People are very busy. So with our existing trusted network, there is essentially a group of companies that can support and are willing to support and are willing to help each other, not always directly within the portal, not always with another member, but they may have an existing supplier that they work with on a regular basis that they trust and they know will get the job done. And it's about building that strong, almost internally referred network. I can pick up the phone to any one of our members and I know they will be there for a chat. So if a project comes in that needs to be discussed straight away, I can pick up the phone and I'll get a response. And that doesn't happen when you're just cold calling or you're just sending a blanket email to someone. It's a very different approach in my mind.
I'd agree with you. Just based on what you see within the portal and the questions, and then the community answering and supporting, and as you say, even if it's not a member within the ConeX portal that can support, they will be mentioned and brought in and saying we use this or I recommend this person. It is superb for that. I suppose we're coming up to 26 minutes. The thing around it is what's next for ConeX portal.
Right. This is where I'm going to swing it slightly. So as a organization that wants to focus on our members rather than just going blindly into what we think is best, we want to know what you think is best and what ideas you would have as a ConeX member. What direction would you like to see us go, for example?
That's it is a big question, that one, is it? Because I was laughing at that when seeing it. I think for me is again, it's like some of the things that you're just saying is how we can really optimize and maximize the events and the videos and things like that to really bring people in to get expertise over, really build the community side. So, you know me, I've had this big thing around. I think we're quite splintered in manufacturing. We were discussing this in the manufacturing hour, and if we were to pull everybody and draw everybody in and get everybody aligned, we'd be very, very powerful. And as Steve Murphy puts it, you get the unions involved, you'd be even more powerful to really push the government and things like that. Now, I'm not saying that ConeX is that, but the community becomes exponentially more powerful the more it draws in and the more we get the community going. So things like you said, the mastermind groups, and if somebody's got a problem, you could have a hot seat mastermind group saying you got this problem, get 8-10 people around on a VR or Zoom or within ConeX portal on the live in there, and get discussing it. And get over the challenge. There are some powerful brains within ConeX, so there's no. I don't believe there's anything insurmountable around it. So I think more the community side, and as you say, bringing in the exhibitions and things like that, and joining up and getting out there and just really, really shouting about what manufacturing UK is about. UK manufacturing is about.
Yeah, exactly that, and we're developing this based on feedback. As I say, we're not just going to drive this forward in a direction we want to go. I essentially feel like I'm part of the community, and I want it to stay that way. I want to be part of the discussions, part of the conversation, seeing what people need, seeing what people want, and then we've got the tool to develop and grow in that direction.
I think when I look back at it, even now as you flip that on me, and as I look back now, is I've had opportunity, both me and Mr. Murphy have had opportunities to do a guest lecture at Plymouth University, which was, we wouldn't have had that opportunity if I think it was Becky had to put that in the community saying, does anybody want to support the ops students? And there was a number of us that said, yeah, absolutely. And that went from there, so even just on those little things, and I think some of that will progress on as well. I know Mark has just asked a question. Where do we send our requests?
That will tie us up quite nicely, I think.
Yeah.
So So there are two sides to the platform at the moment. So we've got obviously the supplier side where all the members are working together, supporting each other within the discussion area in there. So you can catch us in there. You can use the live chat function in there to actually directly message one of the ConeX team if you have a specific discussion that you need. Obviously on LinkedIn, we've got the standard forms of contact via email. And then we've also got a projects section within the portal now, which we launched a couple of weeks ago. So this is for anyone who is looking for connections within the ConeX supply chain, essentially. So we've built a community around manufacturers. If you are looking for a specific manufacturer to do a job, if it's bringing a product to market, if it's just looking for a new supplier to kind of shore up your supply chain, essentially, you can now create a free account on ConeX, tell us what you need, tell us what you're looking for, and we'll make those direct introductions to you. And like I was saying before, we're not another link in the supply chain. We're not trying to jump in between projects. It's very much, you've got a problem, you can solve it, off you go, rather than here's a project for you, and then I'm going to sit on all of the little projects and farm them out. It's just these guys need help, you guys can help them, and off you go. So that can just be found on the ConeX homepage on the sign up area. There's a project form on there now that people can complete. So yeah, I think we'll bring that to the end from there. Thank you all for everyone to listening and commenting. There's been quite a lot of comments, so I'll go through them this afternoon. And watch out for our next live session next week. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening.
Superb. Have a great rest of the week.